Hi, how are you? Welcome back to Impossible Live. Welcome if you're joining us for the first time, regardless of whether you're catching us live or on a replay, or you're just catching a piece uh, of a previous session and it inspired you to tune in today. Please say hi. Let us know where you're joining us from, and let us know one thing we can help you share in between our Impossible Lives. Regardless of what platform you're looking at us on, just really wanted to thank you for popping in and to joining us. And regardless of what day it is and whatever you're celebrating and whatever's happening, I hope you're finding something to toast. So here's a virtual toast to you today. One of the things I loved about today's song title, Rolling in the Deep, was the passion with which Adele sings the song. I was really surprised. I think of every time I listen to it, of how the different lines kind of catch me in a different place. And the lines, depending on when I'm listening to them, whether it's the music, whether it's her emotion, whether it's she's singing about betrayal, but she's really singing about the in the deep part. And in a conversation with an amazing collaborator recently, we were talking about the fact that as I'm working on a rebranding, that a lot of the logos, hey Emma, welcome back. That a lot of the logos we're working on when we're rebranding have a darkness to them, a depth. And I think that's one of the things that really hits me about the song title. It's a desire when we have a conversation, and really Emma's a great example, and I'm delighted she's joining us today. Whenever Emma and I talk, we're having really deep, life-changing conversations. It feels like to me on my end. I really celebrate them because I never know what we'll talk about next. And I did invite Emma to join us as a guest, and hopefully she'll accept our offer shortly. But one of the things in the process of having conversations is that really thinking about however we approach them from the perspective of prior lessons we've learned. I, I'm back to live events. And for years, I've been going to hybrid events, which are live and virtual, and they could be a mix. And uh, I've spent a lot of time in the virtual space of meetings and conversations, a little bit over 9 years. And I'm grateful for the experience of hybrid, live, and virtual in the process of returning to live conversations. The introvert, she's showing up a little bit as get ready to get in the car, as I'm getting ready to get out of the car, as thinking of what we're wearing or what we're sharing. And it's a real reminder no matter how much time we've spent networking, engaging in conversations, talking to really cool people, that we're bringing a little bit of our past experiences. And as well, we're bringing a little bit of what we're learning today. And the real reminder, and I had to really dig into it because for me it was challenging. Because I was in an event space, sometimes you're thinking about a plan, you're thinking about an upcoming aspect of an agenda, you're thinking about something that's about to happen, or you're thinking about a level of preparation that you need to change. And I had to learn for me to really remember from the lessons learned to really stay present. So, in these conversations now, whether they're live, bringing a bit of the virtual element, of the hybrid of elements of, it's been a little while since we've seen each other in person. It's great to see you again, of showing up at a place to really show and share gratitude, which has been a really big part of my online experiences. In person, though, sometimes I didn't have a chance to express gratitude to somebody for something they did. But learning from the lessons learned and really from the Impossible Live and kind of gratitude journal, it's kind of led really to going live in our series to really bring the gratitude forward in person. and to thank people, whether it's on Friday, had an amazing chance to celebrate a milestone birthday with somebody I adore who I had not seen in over 4.5 years. And I appreciated it at the same time. She said to me, "You're out." And it's a real reminder. Our perspectives are changing, how we're showing up, whether people expect to see us, what they expect us to share. What I really enjoyed was in the process, I had a chance to reconnect with a couple of other people who I hadn't seen in a couple of years, who I was delighted to see again, and to connect with a couple of people who I'm really just meeting for the first time in a sense, because it's been so long. So there's no real frame of reference. It reminds me, in terms of our communication and how we are approaching conversations, how we're approaching communications. We have a choice of how we show up. Stuck in the past, referring to something that was prior, looking forward to something that's happening in the future and sharing that. But the real reminder I really learned was that I needed to acknowledge that in the past, the introvert sometimes would show up super quiet, didn't always feel super safe. That now we're in a world and live situations where some people are really hesitant to express themselves. They're hesitant to talk to people that they haven't met before. On the other hand, we've got the extroverts, we've got the salespeople who are just, "Hey, how are you?" They are excited and delighted to meet us. But I'm learning the reserved part of how we're approaching communications, whether it's from having conversations with people who didn't always welcome us, whether it's having conversations with people we wouldn't necessarily approach, who wouldn't necessarily approach us. And I think that that mix, that reminder is in the deep. We don't always share it out loud. And I'm grateful last week to have pushed myself a little bit to acknowledge some of the previous discomfort, uh, the things that felt kind of awkward, the things that now, in a conversation, a lot of people are terrified. You're going to talk about politics. We were talking about social media and how people are responding to others' comments. What really hit me and kind of really stuck with me was a comment someone made about social media and about local groups. I haven't really been networking locally in a bit. And I'm really looking forward to this because next week I'll go to a live conference that I haven't attended in person in 5 years. Community supported by, a community I support, a community I'm connected to, a community where I really treasure the relationships. But I was really reminded, and part of it, we jokingly say, as we're preparing, "Hi, Lisa, how are you? Welcome back." That as we're preparing for different events or presentations or topics, just how are we showing up to really share? And uh Jen, I adore you, and I can't wait because Jen's going to join us in a couple of weeks for one of our upcoming Impossible Lives. And Jen says, "Preach it, Mel. The only reality and certainty is in the present moment. If we can stay grounded in the present, we stop worrying about what to share, level of vulnerability. And the only way I remember to express the gratitude I know needs to be shared." Jen, I so appreciate that. And I think that is what's different is in the years of not having shown up at a local networking event, maybe one or two, maybe celebrations, fundraisers for the board I'm on, Fearless of the Hudson Valley. But I think in that process, the reminder really to bring us as we are now, transparent, vulnerable, and in certain cases, a bit more comfortable about sharing the level of emotions. I know if I'm in an environment And Friday was a perfect one. Perfect, safe place. Um, People I adore around. Lovely environment. Tempo, right pace. Is that I was really comfortable and present. What I noticed was when the event ended and everybody left and I took a little bit, I was bringing a plate home and needed to get settled and, settle out the check, is that I noticed how much the vibe had changed. The people who were still in the restaurant weren't people I knew. We didn't have a relationship, even with the owner, the server who I had tipped. And I noticed how the vibe changed. And whether it's welcoming or not, that's really going to determine how comfortable we are to communicate. And I noticed in the absence of the vibe just totally changed. It's a real reminder because at a conference, as a presenter, as a host, as a guest, we're always welcomed. It's something we can bring, and hopefully by showing up with gratitude, we can help others kind of bridge that uncomfortable gap, bring them someplace present, help them center, as Jen's saying, really to help them ground. Tomorrow I'll start another trust certification. And I'm grateful, as always, to Yvette Bethel of Organizational Soul. And I'm grateful for the timing. I've uh, I've been writing a book, and sometimes the communication is challenging because I realize lessons learned. Sometimes we're censoring what we're saying, how we're showing up, what we're sharing, who we're sharing it with. I tried on last week deliberately practice, even though the introvert was there, even though she was driving, to just really stay in an ambivert, kind of a welcoming, open space. What really caught me about it was that in the absence of people we know, in the absence of people we're delighted to meet, in the absence of an environment that really feels supportive, we really want to shrink back. And that's the lessons learned. I have to really remember that in the past, in some networking environments, I kept running into people who some people who I'm gently describing as passive aggressive. I now understand from my style, from the fact that sometimes I was in environments where I didn't always feel safe, where I didn't always feel welcome, where I didn't always feel supported. That changed how I showed up. What I really appreciated was last week having a chance to express that with some people, some ladies who also some acknowledged having felt and experienced the same thing. It wasn't anything we shared, it wasn't something we talked about. It wasn't an emotion we put out there. Maybe we did in private, smaller conversations, but we didn't share it. And that one part about, ooh, Emma, thank you. That one part. Emma says sometimes we are the vibe. As they say, one person can walk into the room and change the entire experience for everyone. Emma, love that inspiration to just show up and bring and let it out and express it. And hopefully elevate the vibe, elevate the blend, elevate the energy so that others really feel it. And it really does change the entire experience. I noticed too, as the environment changed, the composition of the room changed, the generations, the genders changed, how we were communicating changed, the tone of people's voices. And really, it is really about thinking about what that experience looks like in person, online, both. I joke with clients sometimes and with people who um, I've reached out to, who I'm connected with, having conversations with. about being able to feel the energy. I will acknowledge that now from years of being in events, whether it's events I host, events I attend, events I volunteer for, events I support, events hosted by a client. So, really, if Rolling in the Deep could inspire us all to think about the vibe and the energy that we're bringing to the communication, whether it's hopping on a call with somebody amazing who's about to prepare for hosting a panel or moderating a panel or about to get in their car and go to another live event or just leave to go pick up their child from school, pick up another family member, or maybe they're a caregiver, but acknowledging the energy that we're bringing so that it feels a little bit, sometimes it feels like we're rolling in the deep and we're a little bit detached. But just to remember, there's another amazing human on the other side. And part of it, Jen mentioned before when she mentioned the word vulnerability. In professional settings, we weren't used to showing up vulnerable, being vulnerable. We were encouraged to be transparent, let our team members, let our 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 bosses, let someone else know what is going on behind the scenes. So maybe the transparency part really could exist, but the vulnerability part, we keep a lid on it, and we don't always acknowledge that. And I was able Friday, this weekend, to really acknowledge it and also to take a breath in because I really had to observe it. And I'm promising I'm going to continue speaking about this on lives and writing about it, but especially as you're approaching events and conferences, whether you're the presenter, you're the facilitator, you're the host, you're the sponsor, you're the greeter, you're on a panel, or you're the attendee about to hop on your flight or hop in your car, that somewhere in that, in the rolling in the deep, is something internally to think about how you're going to show up and how you want to communicate, whether it's with clarity, whether it's with vulnerability, whether it's with transparency, whether it's both. Maybe all the above. And on the other hand, when that mix, when something you feel is missing, are we comfortable enough to acknowledge it? I was able to acknowledge some past stuff that might have at the time felt like networking scars. On the other hand, these were also lessons learned through leadership experiences. So I'm now really selective about when I raise my hand to volunteer because the communication part, the support part, we've got to feel grounded. We have to feel like the vibes are right. When they are, let somebody know so that they know, this is something to repeat, this is something to duplicate. On the other hand, when it's missing, like Emma says, maybe you can bring some energy to help elevate it so that others really feel you're helping them increase their comfort levels and helping them feel welcome and helping them feel supported. So, Rolling in the Deep, if you listen to the lyrics, if YouTube lets you look at them, uh, there's an explicit lyric in there from Adele. And YouTube's decided that we can't necessarily watch the video all the time. But what I remember about that song was having a chance to dance to it at a friend's wedding. A couple we absolutely adored, one of those inspirational couples that you always follow. You would love them. They always welcome you, always make you feel like you're in the right place, let you know that you're seen, that you're appreciated, and that you're welcome. And I love this song because somebody who didn't have someone to dance with saw that we were really enjoying this music on the dance floor and came to dance with us. And what I loved was she had the hand gestures, looked like it was karaoke, looked like she was doing lip syncing. You could really tell how she was feeling it. And that part about rolling in the deep to Invite somebody in to what you're experiencing, to welcome them. And especially if it's somebody new, you can make their day. It might determine whether somebody explores membership, whether somebody decides that they want to try it again. And it might also, when you feel it and when you're rolling in the deep and it doesn't necessarily feel right, that might be something to carpool with somebody to try it again. Talk about your experience, share what happened, and help someone else by opening a door for them, or let them open a door for you. The mentorship is part harder, it's challenging. Less people are reaching out for help. They're like, in some cases, they're not necessarily reaching out for support, but the need is there and the need to really communicate. And I appreciate it because Martin Stark said it in his comment about lessons learned in communications. And Martin said that they provide knowledge to communicate with wisdom. Share that wisdom, share that welcome, open up a door for someone, let them know something else that they can anticipate, they can look forward to. Or if they're uncomfortable, there's just something you can do to raise and increase their comfort levels. It's hard all the time, sometimes, to stay grounded if we're not energy healers. It's hard to hold on to that. There's things that can disturb that can change that. After everyone left the other day and the atmosphere changed, part of me was really ready to leave that environment because the energy had totally left. And it was a reminder as I got in my car to kind of breathe in and release and regain my energy so that I was able to reset it and pass on some good energy later in the day. If there's someone that you know that's going through something, a lot of dear friends are going through some complex health issues. A lot of friends are experiencing loss, changes in jobs, in health environments, a lot of fear and concerns about what may happen nationally. Take some time, reach out to someone, catch them in the deep, help them pep their step, help them raise their chin, help them look up, help them look out, help them reach. And if you're somebody who needs somebody to reach out to, please don't hesitate to send me a message, to take some time to book a call. The next month will be a little bit active, so feel free to send a direct message if you're unable to find a great time to connect across time zones. But I want to thank you for reaching out globally, nationally, locally, for always, always making us feel welcome. And Emma, I adore you. Emma, my Nana always said, "Hey, Marie, how are you, beautiful?" My Nana always said, guard your light, safeguard it, safeguard it, guard your light, protect it, share it with somebody else, light another candle, light another path, open up another door. Let's connect and stay connected and keep the energies up. Domestic Violence Awareness Month is approaching, and I'm on the board. Marie's on the board of Fearless of the Hudson Valley. Reach out, always chances to connect. If you're local, come join us for We Can Be Heroes and have a magnificent day. Take great care. Stay safe, stay well, stay inspired, and stay in touch. See you again soon.